my favorite songs are slow and sad. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Welcome to the Sad Song Queens podcast, where we dive deep into the songs that make us cry. I'm Laura Webb.
And I'm Lindsay Wolfington.
Today we will be chatting with Susie Suh about her song Feather in the Wind. Susie is an incredibly talented singer-songwriter whose haunting voice and poetic lyrics have captivated listeners around the globe. With a signature sound that fuses indie, folk, and electronic elements, Susie's music explores themes of love, resilience, and self-transformation.
Her self-titled debut album, produced by Glenn Ballard and released in 2005, received widespread acclaim for its raw emotion and ethereal melodies. I first heard her music while working on One Tree Hill, and we used 5 songs from the album on the show, and many more over the years.
Following her debut, Susie released the Bachman tapes, which includes the standout track, Feather in the Wind. With over 4.8 million streams, it has resonated deeply with audiences and has been featured in TV shows like One Tree Hill, Heart of Dixie, and Parenthood.
A few years back, I was lucky to attend the Invisible Love Experience, which featured Susie using sound bowls, strings, and voice to create an intimate wellness experience featuring songs from her latest album, Invisible Love. Throughout her career, Susie Suh has continued to evolve as an artist, collaborating with a variety of musicians and exploring new sounds while staying true to her introspective, heartfelt style. And we are excited to chat with her today.
To begin, we'll listen to Susie Suh's Feather in the Wind and then dive into our conversation.
So grab those tissues and let's get into it, because we all need a good cry.
Looking at the sea again, tides they rise and fall and then they rise again. My love floats like a feather in the wind. Catch me if you can, catch me. I don't even know just what I'd do if you found your way back through, clearing all the cobwebs that we weave, making room for you and me. There's a road to my heart, follow signs to see all the lights glowing bright inside the dark. You know you found me. Looking at the cityscape, tiny little bubbles sparkling in the night. I don't think it's ever too late to cut the ties that bind us to our lives. I don't even know just what I'd say if you found your way back, clearing all the cobwebs that we made, wishing for you to stay. There's a road to my heart, follow signs to the right. When you see all the lights glowing bright inside the dark, you know you found me. floats like a feather in the wind. Catch me if you can. Catch me.
Welcome, Susie, to the Sad Song Queens podcast.
Thanks.
But I feel like this song, people are probably like, it's not that sad. Why'd you guys pick it as a sad song? But I am like verklempt over here. I find it really emotional. Like even just listening this morning, the whole like when you see all the lights glowing bright inside the dark, you know, you found me. I don't like it kills. Susie, how'd you do that?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored and grateful to be here with you guys chatting about this song that I wrote. Yeah, I mean, actually, I really love hearing what you feel when you listen to it because for me, I think when I wrote it, I think it has a different meaning than when you listen to it.
Right.
Just because, just based off of some of the things you told me about it. So yeah. I actually think it's very cool that we both listen to the song and we have like a completely different perspective on it.
Right. Which is what we assume kind of happens.
Right.
So
yeah. That's the beauty of music, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You can take away what you want from it.
Yeah.
And that's what's so beautiful. But we also love, you know, why we started this podcast is like, ooh, we get to sit down and ask too.
Yeah. No, I love that it makes you like feel something. That's
yeah.
I mean, for me, actually, when I wrote it, it is kind of, I mean, it's melancholic, but
right.
there is a hopeful tone to it.
Absolutely.
And the lyrics that I think I wrote at the time.
Should we do?
Our theory.
Should we do our theory before you?
Okay.
Give me your theory first, and then we'll talk.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't really have as much like a theory about it, but there's a meaning that the song like brought to me. You know, we used the song on One Tree Hill years ago, so that's how I knew it.
Yeah.
And I don't remember how we used it, but I'm gonna get emotional. But
where are the tissues?
I know. Where are the tissues? The actual like
I know.
I haven't actually cried yet.
Aww.
But my husband's brother passed away suddenly, like 14 years ago, and I just remember wanting to make my sister-in-law feel better. And I was like, what can I do? And for me, I don't know if I ever sent her this song, but I was like, if it were me, this song would make me feel like he's still with me.
Oh.
God, I don't know what I'm supposed to say.
No.
I'm giving you an air hug right
yeah.
now.
I know. Sorry. Whoa.
Oh, no.
But so that whole like, I'm a feather in the wind, catch me if you can. I'm the light in the dark. Like, I'll be there when you need me. That's what I took from this song, which is why it's so emotional to me. So that's definitely like a moment in time, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so here we are. Woo! Getting my tissue up.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that is beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And that's like sometimes we since we've been doing this too, it's like where it finds you at certain points in your life, right?
Yeah.
And that it's what you're interpreting from it. It's really beautiful.
And I will say this, just a caveat away from the music, in particular this song, that is the reason why I make music, is for moments like this. Because then to me it confirms why I became a songwriter and an artist is that people actually feel something when they listen to the words and the song and the voice and that there's some kind of hopeful healing element to it. I like to think of my songs as like snuggly blankets or dear friends, you know?
It feels like that. I'm so glad you say that because it does. Like, I hear your emotion in the performance, right? But like also, I think sometimes like the hope in things, like I was watching Will and Harper yesterday, and just like given what's happened politically, all that, just to see kindness and hope is also a really emotional touchstone, I think, too.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, like songwriting in general, I'm sure for a lot of artists has always been a way to just process our own emotions and deal with our own, you know, cathartic processing of the world. I actually, as I've continued to make music, that the goal really for me is what just happened, is to actually feel that people connect with it and that it has nothing to do with me anymore. I like put the song out into the world and then it just kind of has a life of its own and it makes its own friends and it kind of is there for the people that need to hear it at the times that they need to hear it.
Yeah.
So that just, I think that's just so beautiful. And I love that you shared that story because that's the reason why I do this, honestly. Because, I mean, this is not an easy industry to be
No.
business wise, right? But like in terms of the art and being an artist and being a writer and songwriter, I think that's really the goal for any artist.
Totally.
It's amazing.
But in terms of the song,
Yeah. Yeah.
did you want to talk about?
Okay. I don't know how I top that. 'Cause mine's more like, is it a breakup song?
I have like other theories too. Totally.
Mine was like, actually, I said I can't decide if I think it's sad.
Yeah,
It almost feels like you're thanking the person for the love that they gave you, and that we're there for like the dark times and saw the darkness in you when you write that line. But like in a good way, they were there for you. But then I contradict myself in saying the imagery of the feather in the wind makes you think that the love you did have for this person is floating off away in the air.
Oh my God, this is so fascinating that you guys are like diving deep
I
into
know.
it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so interesting to hear your perspective.
Yeah.
And I even have another theory.
And I was like,
really?
I'm sure I'm probably wrong. But I just, because that's, we look at the lyrics.
But it's right for you, though. That's why I'm saying no one's wrong. Like, it's all
Right.
like,
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
Yeah, we're not going to like debunk. But I was listening to it last night and I was like, oh, it almost feels like someone maybe you haven't admitted that you like. But because there's a whole like clear the cobwebs, there will be a pathway to my heart kind of like, maybe one of those like friend relationships that you're not sure if you want to take to the next level. And I don't know. That was my other theory.
Interesting.
That's a lot less emotional. More teen drama.
Yeah, no, well, I'll tell you this. The genesis of the song actually started out with me like playing around with a looper.
Oh.
So the kind of the ahs that you hear in the background of the chorus and everything, I kind of just started writing the song, looping the background vocals, and then the song kind of came from this very technical, like when you like have a new instrument or something and you want to like use it.
Sure.
So it was like this looper pedal that I had. I was like, oh, I want to like loop my vocals live. So that's kind of where it musically started to happen. But then in terms of like lyrically and what I think, I mean, I love everything that you guys have to say. I mean, for me, the song it is hopeful for me. And I think it's written about those times in between, where maybe you're in between a relationship or something happened and maybe you've been going through some darker times or something. But there's always light at the end of the tunnel kind of thing.
Right.
And that there's, I like to use a lot of nature. If you listen to my music, I talk about nature a lot.
Awesome.
I think that's one of like my themes when it comes to being a writer. But just like the ephemeralness of love and being a feather in the wind. It's just kind of just sort of these like nature. I tried to make the song. Well, I tried to make every song as songwriting 101. You try to make it as like visually evocative as possible. So for me, this song was kind of like painting a picture. I wanted people to have visuals as they were listening to it. So like whatever visuals, but like I said, I talk a lot about nature and use like the relationship that we have with nature, and then just the rhythms and the flows and the seasons and that as kind of like metaphors for a lot of the things that we go through. So, but yeah, no, I don't know what else you want me to say about
No,
that.
I mean, I think that is like everybody understands the image of feather in the wind. I mean, everybody who's seen Forrest Gump literally knows the image of feather in the wind, right?
And maybe that's why it works so well in sync specifically, or just that as you say that, I think that people can attach that. So then when we're looking for lyrics for, finding it in one of our mediums in TV or film, like you saying that, like the nature is like, that's a way to connect because all viewers can picture that and visualize that.
Yeah, it's like specific and super general at the same time.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's kind of like my writing style is that I get specific, but I also try to keep it a little bit vague so that people can interpret it for themselves, and I think that's why sync seems to. I mean, it got licensed. Like it got licensed over the years in different shows and stuff. So
many of them Lindsay's projects.
I know. Well, and what when it comes to like syncing and song structure and the production. Well, one, I think the production on this lends itself really nicely to.
Shout out to
sync.
Brian Cook, he produced it.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. It has a lightness, but also like that heart that grounds you.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, you were about to finish my sentence. I love that.
We're
You're in.
But also like the verse has kind of like a neutrality to it, and then that like pre-chorus is like, gets you in the gut, and then the chorus is quite hopeful, and the ending, like as we were listening to this, and I'm like, oh, like sad song, and the ending is quite like delightful and cheery, you know, like, it's going to be okay, right?
Yeah.
Which is great. But all those changes in the song, those dynamics make it really interesting too.
Thank you for sharing that. This is very cool that you guys are doing this from a music supervisor's perspective, because you don't get to often hear. And actually, I will say this. I was thinking about this, and I think that you guys are like the ultimate fans, because you guys listen to so much music, and you actually have to place it to like visuals on a screen. So the kind of connection that I think that and I'm not surprised that you actually were like a DJ, a radio DJ. You know what I mean? Because I think that when you're able to connect to music on that level and like feel it in your heart and in your bones and stuff, that lends itself to you being a very good supervisor. Because this is what you're doing like every day.
We're
sure you guys are
matching
listening
emotions,
thousands of songs constantly and matching the emotions and trying to figure out like how to puzzle piece it together. So it's very cool. I really do think you guys are like the like hardcore fans of music.
Aw,
Well, we think
good.
we are.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know if people realize how much music you guys listen to.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Some days it feels like all we do is email, but most,
Yeah. when we have the good days that we can. And I mean, sometimes
True music lovers, right? Though
Yeah,
at the heart
absolutely.
of it, you have
So.
to be.
have to.
You have
Yeah.
to be.
Yeah, but I mean, when we get to work on those scenes and draw out the emotion, it's the best. And like seeing the marriage of the two, it's just like, it's the goosebumps.
It's the
test.
goosebumps.
Yeah,
it's
you're like,
incredible.
yeah.
And what's really cool too, I will add this, is that I think that especially, you guys have worked on shows that millions of teenagers and adults and, people coming into adulthood have. So I feel like you've really influenced the pop culture music scene,
Ooh,
right? In a way that, you know what I mean? That's kind of like, okay, you hear it on the radio, but a lot of times songs take off from a sync or something like that. You hear about it all the time that they heard it on. Actually, I get that a lot because I've gotten syncs before. And I heard it on, the Blacklist, or I heard it on
I feel like your Blacklist placement of Here With Me is like the one that everybody knows.
Yeah, I think it is. And I
think that was on yesterday when I was looking on your Spotify. I think that's the top, at least right now.
Yeah.
I don't know what their algorithm.
So to shout out to you guys for the work that you guys do, because it's,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk. Like, you are placement queen.
Yeah.
We went on TuneFind and we were looking at all your placements. Apparently, I licensed 12 songs on One Tree Hill.
Wow.
I mean, so
Thank
I
you
am
for
a
that.
Susie Suh super fan.
I know, thank you. No, you really championed me like really early on. So thank you for all of your support. And
I mean, honestly, like, as from my perspective, a supervisor's perspective, like, you're just looking for great songs that hit what you need. And it's that combination of emotion, dynamics, production, and like the right vocal quality to sit under dialogue. And when you went independent, that like flexibility of being able to, come to you with, various budgets or various projects, like, and not have like a roadblock of like a label or publisher, which are all there to advocate for their artists, but sometimes just like are that extra step or extra person getting in the way. We love our labels and publishers, but like, sometimes things are super easy when you can just go to the artist, 100%
Directly.
master and publishing. And
you were saying, I think even during One Tree Hill, that Susie would send you demos.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
I feel like I'd be like, or I'd be like, ooh, like, finale coming up. Like, Susie, what do you have? Because we're going to need like a lot of great music, and I'm sure you have something amazing. So yeah, I feel like Feather in the Wind you sent me really early on. I think Love Is on the Way was a demo that we used on One Tree Hill in a pretty big moment where there was like an almost proposal or a reversal of a proposal. I kind of can't remember what happened, but
Well,
anyway.
I'll tell you this, to anyone listening who's like trying to make it in the music business,
Yeah.
I made more money after I was signed to Sony Epic Records for my first album, and then I became independent after that, and I've been independent since. And so, like you said, I own like 100%. I own all my masters and all my, or I co-share masters, but I own all my publishing, 100%. For the most part. And so that was kind of a game changer because, like you said, it's a lot easier to get syncs cleared when you can just go and, I'd have a publishing administrator or someone, company. But basically, I think it's a lot easier to get things cleared when they own everything pretty much.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been great for me actually. So
That's great.
I think that was a good decision. I mean, look, there's pros and cons to being independent.
Yep.
I mean,
Totally.
you got to DIY a lot of stuff, and you're
Right.
dealing with independent budgets, and you
Right.
know, you're doing it yourself. I mean, I'm kind of a one-woman army. But I love, for me, it works because I love the creativity and actually the final say in every decision I make when it comes to like the music or who I want to work with or the visuals or what I want to do, or like if I want to take out edits to a music video, what I'm wearing, what my makeup, like whatever it is, like I just basically decide it all. So that's great for me because
Yeah.
I like to have the
Yeah.
final say. I didn't really like being on a label because I didn't have the final say, and things ended up getting out into the world that I probably wouldn't have chosen. But because there was a creative director and there's all these other people involved, you kind of have to just go with what they want.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned actually pretty early on from being signed to a major that I didn't really want to have someone like breathing down my neck. And for me also too, it's like the creative process. I mean, the reason why I do this, honestly, like being a songwriter and being a singer and being an artist is because I love to make things out of, I mean, you're kind of just creating
Nothing.
something out of nothing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that process of just like creating something and it didn't exist before. And so for someone to kind of have their hands in that, whether it's visual in any way, it just kind of like, I don't know, it's like I have to really trust you.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to feel like you are on the same page. So for me, it works better that I just kind of have a lot of the ultimate
Yeah.
say, control, whatever you want to say.
Do you remember, was it hard to make that leap?
I mean, I didn't have a choice.
Oh, okay.
I was signed to Sony for one album.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then after
Okay.
that, I was like, well, should I keep working on music? Okay, I'm just going to put it out myself. And that's actually, I put out the Backman tapes. And that's the album that I think
Feather in the Wind.
Feather in the Wind comes from. And we talked about this before we jumped on the thing. Like, I was doing some research for the podcast. I was like, oh my God, every song on this album got licensed.
Which is so cool. You're like the new Moby.
Yeah. No, and that is so rare. I mean, I don't know if there's stats on that, but I don't feel like that's very common.
No. Well, we
So-
always talk a little bit. I mean, I feel like part of the reason I was a radio DJ for a minute, and then my transition into music supervision felt so natural because I felt like most of my favorite songs were not the radio single anyway,
Mhm.
which
Oh,
is
yeah.
usually what works better in a scene too. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, sometimes you need like a fast and
pop
poppy
it,
song,
yeah.
right? But like so often you just need the emotional ballad. Like we
Mhm.
talk a lot about skipping to the last track on the album to be like, okay, where's the sad song?
Yeah.
So to have
And
the whole album
And
is
those,
pretty
like, I
amazing.
mean, we love happy songs as much, obviously,
Yeah.
but the ones that stick with you and all these years later
Yeah.
that still resonate, that can still
I
bring
know. I can't
tears.
believe.
But that's the power of
Yeah.
these songs. And those are, I mean, that's, we just connect with them and you just have this special place in your heart for those.
And I just love writing them, all my music.
Amazing. we love that.
Let's talk about your creative process a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, how do you're creating something from nothing. Like, how do you get started? Do you have like periods where you write a lot and then others where you don't? Or do you
that.
just, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Like right now, I'm in a period of like, because I put out an album called Invisible Love like a year or two ago, and I did some touring, and I put out some videos. Were actually really cool videos. I don't know if you've seen the videos, but I went to like Hawaii, and I filmed on like near a volcanic crater, and I went
mean-
to Iceland, and I filmed at an ice cave.
Wait,
and
I just went to Iceland in September.
it's one of my favorite countries.
It's
Beautiful.
beautiful.
But I felt it was the cold version of Hawaii because they're both these islands, so there's water, but it's
Yeah.
also they're both volcanic.
uh-huh.
Like the
Yeah.
terrain is similar, and the way like they have to deal with their limited resources is similar, and they're both gorgeous.
Yeah. And you know
So-
what's so weird? I literally felt like this like calling to go to both of those places and film there visually. Kind of going back to what
Yeah.
I was saying before about having like the control of what I want to
Yeah.
do. I was like, I must go to Iceland and film at a snow cave. And like a week before, I'm like, I must find one. And they're not around very. You have to like catch it like a couple months because they melt and then they come back. You'll never find them again. Like after that season, I think new ones pop up. And I was able to find one that's like this grandmother and her son took me. They were the only tour guides available because everyone was working on a George Clooney movie. So all the tour guides were working on this George Clooney movie in Iceland. And so, but I was able to find her and her grandson, and they helped us. We trekked like an hour with all of our gear,
Oh my
and we filmed at this snow cave, ice cave. I keep saying snow cave, it's ice cave.
Yeah.
And I performed live.
Oh, wow.
and like this dress. And then we were literally in the middle of nowhere. And she was like, you have about an hour before all the tours start coming. So
my gosh.
go ahead and do it. And like,
So did you go like 5 a.m?
we went really early.
Yeah.
Yeah, we woke up at 4. We drove there. And so by the time we got there, we trekked. It took us an hour. We were wearing ice shoes. Like we trekked. It was great. It was beautiful. One of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my entire life.
So what
And
song was that for?
That was for a song called Over You,
Okay.
which is on an album called Invisible Love.
Yeah.
So then I'm going to perform this live. Of course, it's freezing. So I could only do like 2 takes before my fingers start to freeze.
Oh, right.
And then next thing you know, like an hour goes by, we see these like little ants like crawling across. We're like, oh my God, the tourists are here. And the tourists like came and she was like, yep, I told you, like you had an hour. So like we just like shot it as quick as we could. With our own gear. Like I said, we have to, DIY all this stuff. So we brought our own gear. We brought our own Pro Tools set up on a laptop, and we just shot it. And it's me live singing in Iceland.
Wow.
And then I did the same thing in Hawaii. I was like, I must go and like film near a volcanic something. And I ended up finding on Airbnb, like an Airbnb experience where you can go to this volcanic crater. And so I shot there as well. So if you want to see that one, that one's Blood Moon. Which is also another sad song.
Yeah. It is, yes.
But those things were pretty amazing. And going back to Iceland, which is really kind of weird, at the Blue Lagoon, I will share this story with you guys. I don't normally talk about it, but at the Blue Lagoon, I think it was at the beginning of our trip, we go and I'm like, oh my God, I feel something really magical about Iceland. I really want to share like the beauty of this place, the natural beauty, because like I said, I love nature.
Yeah.
So it's like, I must film something here. We go to the Blue Lagoon and then we leave. And on the way out in the guest shop, they were playing my song.
What?
Yeah.
Which one?
No.
I do.
Oh.
And so I was like, I asked the lady, I was like, and I don't usually like walk into places and hear my songs. I don't know. I mean,
By the way, I was noticing the music, and at first I was like,
yeah, you
I
told
feel
me
like
about
they're
that.
playing a lot of Scandinavian artists. And then I was like, I think I hear Simmel, who we have also interviewed for the podcast. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's a Simmel song.
Yeah.
So you would fit right in. Maybe we should talk to them about making their
I know.
playlists.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. They must be doing some kind of like streaming service or something. But yeah, I literally I was in there for 5 minutes. I was
Wow.
like, this is a sign from God.
Of
I must
course.
continue doing my music.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
And that you're on
Yeah.
the right path. I believe in
Yes.
it. Yeah. Is Joe Fiel, is that in Hawaii? Because it was all green
That's
and beautiful.
Iceland.
That was?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've only been in the winter, so I don't know that
Yeah.
it's green.
I shot 2 videos there.
Okay.
Yeah, I shot the Over You live one, and then I shot
That one was
the
stunning,
Joe Fiel
too.
live one. Yeah.
Oh, that one's beautiful. I mean, I'm sure the others. It popped up in.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
Yeah, I especially in particular for this last album, I really wanted to create this like journey about this character and have this sort of like nature element to it. So every song that I shot is like in like an environment like we talked about, like in a nice cave or and just so when you listen to it, like kind of what you guys do, when you listen to it and you watch it, it's like it adds to the experience. Like sight, even at my live shows, I was doing smell as well. So I was like having people like put on an Invisible Love blend that I made out of essential oils. And so when they listen to it and the blend that I made was like the album scent.
Yes.
That's
I
amazing.
have one.
Yeah.
I think
I couldn't go. I really wanted to because it was also like a sound, like the show that you did in Los Angeles
Yeah.
a year ago.
The sound bath at the
or-
Sound bath.
church. Yeah.
Oh, that sounded beautiful.
Yeah, no,
It was really cool.
Thank you for coming. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was I kind of started doing these like hybrid shows just
Yeah.
because I don't know. I kind of want to just make it interesting for myself. So for me, and I got really into sound healing and
Mhm.
sort of the healing nature of music. So for me, it was interesting for me
Yeah.
to be able to like create this hybrid where people lie on yoga mats and they are able to like, when you watch music and people are in a bar or something, it's just really uncomfortable.
I
You're
agree.
standing for like an hour. It's just not.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's create the ultimate like listening experience.
I love
People
that.
pillows, blankets, yoga mat. Like put on an essential oil, listen to some like nice sound bath music that I
Yeah.
play, and then I'm going to sing you some songs. And actually, I do think it was very cathartic because people would come up to me and they would be crying and stuff. And so I think
Aw.
that is like it's a release. So
Yeah.
there's some kind of healing that takes place. So
I believe in that.
Well,
I
I
like that.
remember going and I was like, yoga mat is the new mosh pit. Like
I'm telling you.
I am getting older and
Yes,
lying
for
down
all
and
the-
listening to music is really pleasant.
Yes,
No,
exactly.
all people should, and like if it could be at like 4 p.m.
I know,
This is how old I am now, but I'm like, yeah, that I don't have to.
Instead of heading to their fridge for a treat, it's like, I'm going to go to my yoga mat and listen to Susie Suh.
know.
Yeah, I actually tested it out. I did a show like that in Paris,
Mhm.
and I had a bunch of people come out. People one couple flew in from Boston to come to the show in Paris.
Wow.
Wow.
And then I did the same kind of hybrid show like up the West Coast. People liked it, so I was like, okay,
That sounds amazing.
So yeah, so I kind of did that for because part of the Invisible Love album, there's like sound bowls like for the intro and outro.
Uh-huh.
So sound healing.
Yeah.
So I feel like I am often healed when I listen to music.
Yes.
But there's like a science to it
Yes,
that you
there is.
seem to know. So tell us.
Well, I just took some courses. I mean, I took some classes.
But are there like
Yeah.
frequencies that for healing sadness or healing or making someone feel better? Or like, I don't know. How
Is
does
it
work?
individual to each person or?
No, there's like frequencies. It's called like attunement. Like when you play a bowl at a certain frequency, your body's frequency will naturally like match it. So if you play these like higher frequencies, you're able to like kind of shift out of a different vibration into this vibration that's being played. And a lot of times it's very healing for people, depending on what you're playing.
But do you know, like, are there, like, you're like, oh, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, there's
this
different
vibration means this. And
I mean,
that
yeah,
one-
there's different notes and different things that correlate to different chakras, you know, for different methods of playing. And people also use like tuning forks and all different kinds of things.
right.
But I also think, like you said, like the voice. I mean, music is just healing. Whether you hear it in a song form or you just hear sounds, I think music in general is very healing, especially a voice. I think
Agree.
has a lot, the frequency of a voice. I think that's probably too, because my voice does have kind of like a melancholy tone to it.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm just being honest or just talk about myself objectively, I mean, people tell me all the time, why your music's really sad? I'm like, I think it's just, I don't know, that's just.
She's smiling right now.
Yeah,
I'm laughing.
yeah.
Because in real life, I'm not like
Right.
sad, but I think that I gravitate towards more emotional. I like to write songs that connect with the heart. So it's kind of I like to think of it as music you go and listen to in your room, sort of, and it's a little bit contemplative, and you listen to it and you kind of process things.
Yeah.
Because that's actually, for me, that's what I did when I listened to music. I mean, I would listen to artists and I would become friends with the songs, and they would make me feel better. So that's sort of my goal.
I love this idea of becoming friends with songs. You said it earlier too, and I'm like, oh gosh, yeah, I have so many friends.
I know.
And I'm sure other artists talk about it. They're like little babies that go out into the world and you release them, and they're they kind of have a life of their own. I mean, I really think that's true.
Yeah.
No, and on my end, honestly, like I thought of like in high school, and I've said it before. My parents we moved to Germany, and it was like,
Oh, you did?
at the time I was 16, and so
Yeah.
it was like, peak drama, which, whatever, 16-year-old. But I, like, those songs were my friends. Like, that helped me because I'd left all the friends I ever knew,
Oh, yeah. At 16,
and
that's
in
like
a different
really,
country.
Yeah. You
like,
don't speak
and
the language? Did you speak the language?
I mean, I studied it and learned it. And like American education, I did study German before we left, and it got me like through not even a day. And they would like, I'd say things, and they're like, we don't say that, no.
So funny.
But the point being, like, I think I thought
They're
of those as my
comforting to you.
friends. Like,
Yeah.
I'd come home from school and put those on, and they were my buddies.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what you guys think. I'm curious to actually get your opinion. Like, now in 2024, if people listen to music in the same way that we did growing up, because I would listen to like full albums, like back to back. I don't think people do that anymore. I think they just listen to songs.
Well, and
TikTok.
the whole like
Yeah.
my kids, listen to music either on Spotify or Alexa. So there is
Oh,
like
okay.
a little bit of an algorithm. They make playlists
Oh,
that are
okay.
less about the album. But my son is like an old soul, and he was obsessed with Michael Jackson. So,
Oh.
and my husband loves vinyl, so he goes to the record store like every 2 weeks, and so he'll bring the kids
So you
along.
trained him well.
I guess so. Well, so, and I just remember Christopher was like 6, and he brought home Off the Wall, and which I was most familiar with Thriller. I obviously knew all the singles off of Off the Wall, but like there's a lot of also just like classic R&B Michael Jackson vibes on there. And actually the great part about the album is the lyrics were written in the liner notes. So he actually, it was really interesting. He'd be like, Alexa, play Off the Wall, and then listen to it with the record reading the lyrics.
I'm just laughing at the like
So he did both.
Right, like that you're imbibing both mediums, like
Yes.
streaming and
Yeah.
the physical.
That's amazing.
But I was just proud of him for, that tangible. I think that's what I miss,
I miss that
looking at the
too.
liner notes and the lyrics.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the going through the album and like listen. I mean,
Yeah.
I was CD era for me.
Yeah,
but I was
yeah.
listening to CDs and listening to the whole thing. I mean,
I know.
I mean, Tracy Chapman.
I was going
Oh,
to ask,
yeah.
who are some, I was going to
Yeah.
say, well, since we're talking about being like a 16-year-old in your bedroom, who were you listening to?
Yeah.
I was listening to Bjork. I love Bjork.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Iceland, there,
Iceland,
it's all,
yes.
all
So I
there.
have a connection to
Yeah.
Iceland. No, Tracy Chapman. Portishead.
Tracy Chapman, Fast Car, or the album with The Promise, which is one of my favorite sad songs.
Tracy Chapman with the fast car.
Yeah,
Okay,
me
yeah.
too.
But do
Me
you
too.
know that-
Me too.
Funnily enough, how I got started was I met this guy named Charles Koppelman. So I was in college.
Mhm.
We went to college together.
Yeah.
It's
which
funny.
We can talk about that.
We should talk about
Susie and
later.
I went to college together,
Yeah.
but didn't know it.
We didn't know each
We
other.
only connected it later.
But like in between, like summer and then like when I graduated, I did some time in New York City where I would like play at open mics and try and like get my music out there. And I actually randomly met this guy named Charles Koppelman, who his son went to school with Tracy Chapman. And discovered her, and he signed her.
Oh,
and
wow.
Later went on to release her music, and then so he and I connected, and then I signed a publishing deal with him, and he helped me get my deal with Sony. So it's kind of funny that
Yeah.
and he would
Did
tell
you-
me stories about her. Actually,
Did you ever meet her?
no, I never met her.
Yeah.
Because
No.
she was, or I believe, kind of more reclusive, I think.
Yeah, I hear that
Yeah.
she's quite, which is very
Yeah.
understandable.
Yeah.
Actually, I think
Yeah.
I think music for me is like a very introverted process.
Right.
So I mean, I'm not completely introverted, but I'm very introverted. So I like closing myself in a room and just making music or writing and.
I think that
recording.
must be one of the hardest parts about songwriting, because I feel like there was a time I took piano lessons and I wrote some like original things on
did?
piano, but there was never, and I always loved to sing, but like the whole like idea of trying to craft lyrics that didn't sound dumb sounded so hard to me.
That's
and
so
I think the
cute.
hardest part must be sharing it. To be like,
Yeah.
okay, this is what I did. I think it's pretty good. Like, what do you think?
Aw.
I'm sure that's a huge reason why a million people like music but don't pursue songwriting.
I don't know. I started writing songs when I was 14.
Mm.
It
That's
just
so
I
cool.
learned guitar. I was taking guitar lessons, and for some reason, I just kind of wanted to write my own songs. So I would learn other people's songs, but then I would write songs like in
Yes.
between. I don't know. I just always liked writing my own stuff.
Do
So
you still have a demo of the first songs?
oh
Because
god,
I may need to hear these.
Is it on is cassette tape? Probably, right?
Yeah, I'm like, how would you have
Yeah.
even
Did you ever
recorded
save
that?
them? You should. I hope you did.
Oh, you're laughing like you
Yeah.
know exactly
Or
where they are.
your songwriting journal of like
everyone from
yeah.
my high school knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Really? Oh, so fun. Did you play a lot out at Brown?
Not really. I was kind of doing the New York thing. Like,
Okay.
Yeah. But I played a lot in high school.
Did you?
So if anyone like went to high school with me, they knew like me as the singer and
Yeah.
the songwriter girl.
That's so cool.
Yeah. But we went to college together, but I think also probably the reason why we didn't know each other is because I college hopped a lot.
Oh, like you
Like I
weren't on
went to
campus.
Brown, but then like I kind of did semesters at different schools.
Oh,
and
really?
I just sort of like I didn't really want to be in school. I wanted to do music, but my
Right.
parents wanted me to go to school and graduate. So I was like, okay, fine. So I got a degree, but I wasn't really there that much.
Right.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
you were there.
But
at the
I was
radio
there. I
station.
was at the radio station and in the a cappella group. So
Yeah.
it's funny because like I was obviously into music and
Yeah.
you were into music, but our paths didn't cross.
No, we didn't.
But
we
I
didn't know
was
each
like,
other.
if I had met you, I would have come to your show.
Oh,
No.
thanks. Yeah.
You had to go to New York, so
I know, that's right. Hop a train.
Did you, I will say one thing. I did something with the radio station where I think I went, or I don't know, it was Coldplay was playing.
Hey.
Whoa.
Chris
Oh my
Martin
God.
was there.
what?
And I don't know, I
Really? Wow.
volunteered or I was helping out the radio station. And were you at that one?
Was it at one of our concerts? So
So it was, I don't know if it was a concert, it might have been an interview. Did you guys do
Wow.
that?
probably. I didn't do afternoon drive senior
Oh,
year,
okay.
so that probably would have been who was interviewing him. And yeah, senior year is when
That would have
like
been our
Yellow
senior-
came
yeah.
out.
So you
Yeah.
don't remember the Coldplay when they came to
No.
campus? Really?
I remember.
Okay.
I got
I
Lincoln
remember.
Park, which I got to announce them at one of our concerts.
Yeah, no, I met Chris Martin like
That's
at
so
the radio
cool.
station. I was like, oh my
Oh.
god.
And
'Cause I just thought they were great. I mean, at that point, they weren't that well known.
Not at all.
But he just had this air about him.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this
I wonder where I was.
amazing.
I'm so mad now. I'm like, who didn't tell me Chris was coming?
You're going to have to talk to some of your radio
former-
friends.
Yeah.
And see. It must have been senior year, right? Because that's when Yellow came out. Yeah.
I was studying in London when they're like, because have you watched on Hulu, the Camden documentary?
No.
Because I'm such a Britpop person,
Are you?
and Anglophile, and you are too. But yeah. But so I was there studying that time, and we were going out to shows all the time, and I did not go to the pubs in Camden because we were doing more of the club scene. But I'm like, dang it. I know.
You know what's a crazy story I have about that? I was in London and I randomly ran into Amy Winehouse.
No.
What?
Yeah. The day,
And
very soon after she passed.
Oh.
She was not doing well.
No.
Yeah,
For a long
I don't know. I was just walking by this jazz club that I guess she sort of. I think
frequented.
Yeah, and I think it became like it was her spot.
Yeah.
And I was just walking by with my friend who lives in London, and she was there with like her entourage, and so I talked to her in the bathroom.
Amazing.
I know the bathroom is the best place to meet people, isn't it?
She was very nice.
Yeah.
She was out of it though.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad.
It was actually really sad.
Can I travel with you because you're running into
I
all
know.
the most amazing people?
I know.
Miss Introvert meets
Yeah, I know. See,
superstars.
because it's the Gemini. We can be introverted. We're ambiverts,
I think
right?
you're right.
Yeah, like I love to be alone too, but I
Yeah.
also like to be out and talk
But
to
I
people.
think so. What I've discovered, and you tell me if this is true, but I heard that if you're an introvert, you're truly an introvert if you go out and hang out with people, and then you're exhausted and you need to go back and recharge by yourself.
Yeah.
That's kind of like an introvert thing. Whereas if you're an extrovert, you go out and you get recharged by being with people.
Mm.
I think that's what I heard is sort of the
I
ultimate.
have both.
I
Really?
know. Well,
Yeah.
I'm either the extroverted introvert or the introverted extrovert because I feel like I've presented extrovert most of my life.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would say
So I
yeah.
don't know. Maybe it's just like
But when
getting
you,
older. I need to recharge more.
Yeah, that
But
too.
do you feel like because I have to like be alone by myself if I've had like a day full.
So you can't even be like with
no,
a
if I'm
partner or family member and that recharges you. No, you have to be alone.
I think I have to be or out in nature like by myself.
Mm.
I have to be by
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah, because like sometimes we do these. Like I was in Nashville a couple weeks ago at a songwriting camp, and like
Oh,
I'm
really?
on, and it was fun. But I was like, I need like 3 days to recharge from that too.
By yourself.
Yeah.
You're in you have
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I heard. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's true.
You
but-
might be a little bit more than I am because like I never wanted, like when you're like single in your 20s, I never wanted to live alone.
Oh,
Oh,
I
I know,
always
I love
wanted
that.
a roommate.
I don't think you're fully an introvert then.
No.
Yeah,
No, I don't think you
so.
are.
Yeah.
She like I joke because we're like work wives.
Hey, baby.
I know. And that that stat that they say like people who pull French exits gain 2 days out of the year. I was
People
like,
who what? Who-
like people who pull French exits that bounce before
Oh.
like at a party
Yeah.
besides saying bye to everyone. So
Yeah.
when we go to things together, which we often do for work and fun and whatever, but Lindsay's like, she'll come up to me and be like, let's go. And then it's a whole like hour
I gotta
and
say
a
goodbye
half.
to everybody on the way out.
You're like waiting for her.
And so I'm like, you cost me 2 days of the year.
My husband's the same way. In French exit, I also
Or
thought it was an
Irish
Irish
accent.
goodbye.
Same. They're the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Irish-
Even though two
yeah.
entirely different countries. But
Yeah,
okay.
but- yeah.
The expression.
Yeah, just that you like, if you just leave and like duck out
yeah,
quickly.
you're just out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm more like you.
Oh, I was
Very
going to say,
cute.
circling back to Tracy Chapman, just because I thought of it, but our high school, which was like, I went to international school in Germany, but we all got to pick a walk-on song for graduation. And mine was Tracy Chapman, Fast Car, because I was like,
Was
get me on the
it?
car. I'm going to college. Like, just the symbolism of like, I'm out of here. I'm going to
Yeah.
college.
Yeah.
Bye.
When she came on the Grammys and performed
Oh,
with him
Oh,
last year,
yeah.
I like cried.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, that was great.
That was really cool. I feel like the Grammys has a history of like bringing together new and old artists. Like for a while, that was like their MO on
Yeah.
the performance, and that was like a
Yeah, that was
super highlight.
that was a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
So we read that you, and I feel like maybe you had even told me, but you went and lived with Buddhist monks for a while. Did you literally meet Thich Nhat Hanh?
No.
Oh, okay.
So in France, there's like the largest Buddhist monastery called Plum Village,
Okay.
and I went there and I spent some time there. But he wasn't there; he had already kind of retired, and he passed away. But he already kind of retired and went back to Vietnam.
And so how was that? Like you talk about loving symbols from nature
Yeah.
and then that experience. Like, have you always been spiritual, and how did that change things for you?
Yeah, that was a really cool experience. I've done a lot of different things like that. Like I've gone to different places and done kind of sort of like pilgrimages. That one was really interesting in that I don't consider myself religious.
Okay.
But this is a religious place, and they shave their hair. It's crazy. I mean, I'd actually never seen anything like it, where you go and you basically give up your identity. You give them your ID, you cancel your bank accounts, and you basically get
And you did that?
No,
okay.
the monks and the nuns that live there.
Okay.
They allow people to come and visit and spend time there. You can stay there, and they own a lot of land where they grow their own food, and they work the land. They do all the cooking. And they basically live pretty quiet lives, but people can come and like experience it. So I went kind of as a visitor, sort of looking. But yeah, you get up at like 5 a.m. and you meditate and you chant, and it was really eye-opening, actually, because to see people that have chosen that life, they have no connection anymore to material possessions, and they're completely disconnected from the outside world. I mean, it's very eye-opening, actually, and it makes you realize, like, wow, there's people living in all sorts of ways.
Yeah.
And perhaps the way that we have been indoctrinated and the way that we've grown up, I mean, it's not like people have chosen many different ways of living, and these people it's extreme, and I was just like, wow, I don't think I could do it, but I feel like even when you eat, you don't talk. So when we were there, like they have a bell and you sit and you eat in silence, and it's just to really be in the present moment, to be very present. When you go, they have these walking meditations. You don't talk, and you just walk and you think in silence, but like in a group of people. And it's really fascinating to see the kind of presence that it teaches you, the stillness, the connection to nature again that they have. So I think I learned a lot. I'm kind of a student of life. Like I love learning things, all different kinds of things. So for me, like spiritual things as well have really impacted my songwriting, and also. To answer your question from a while ago in terms of how I write, I actually write in bursts. Like I write a lot and then I'll take a break and I'll just live my life. And then
you need like inspiration, right?
Yeah, and no, some people write all the time. In Nashville, they're writing like 2 songs a day, like constantly. I don't know how they do it. I can't. I tried it. I can't do it.
Right.
So I just decided to start writing a new album. But like I'm kind of taking a break, and it's okay. Like for me, I think it's good. It's a muscle. You have to practice and exercise it. So there is something to like a routine of being creative, and that process. I think it is very helpful to have like structure to it. But ultimately, I like to just take some time off and then go back. Back into it.
This sounds lovely.
I know. I know. Can we do that with our
Can we all do that?
I know.
Yeah.
No, but that makes sense because you don't want to like. I mean, there's something to be said in those, like, back in the 50s, those, like, the hit makers that could just, like, churn them out. But I think also...
The Brill Building.
Yeah, right.
But that's still happening now, isn't it, in Nashville? I mean, they're especially...
Yeah, but I think each person, it's... Yeah, like, I think if I were, I don't write at all. But, like, I would think I would need some, like, life to happen to, like, have authenticity on the paper, right?
I mean, and you guys talk to artists all the time. I think a lot of artists feel that way, that they need to process, and then the music and the creativity is an extension of that. So constantly processing life and then putting out something into the world. That's kind of my technique.
Do you have for the new album, is there a theme other than nature? But is there something or it's still germinating?
It's still germinating. I'm sort of taking my time. I've been kind of just quietly making music. I think if anyone were to follow my career in quotes, air quotes,
right,
I've just sort of been quietly making music. And then somehow, I don't know how, but it organically finds its way out into the world. And a lot of times it happens through people like you guys that have picked it up and put it out on a TV show or on a film or... Yeah, I mean, it's actually kind of amazing. We don't do it because we want to. We kind of do it because we have to. You know, those kind of people. Like, if you really, I really probably wouldn't choose this career if I could. You know what I mean? Because it's hard, to make a living as an artist, right? But I think it's the, it's sort of that feeling that you just know that this is just like a part of who you are. I knew really young, actually. I knew really early. Like when I was 14, I knew I wanted to become a songwriter, and an
so
artist.
cool.
Yeah. So it happened really early for me. And I just continued to do it, and I just keep doing it. And then, like I said, I'm like a one-woman army. Like I'm very, but and then people somehow find it, and they're like, hey, we'd like to use it for this or that. And I go, wow. How did you find me?
And you own your own record label, which is also one woman army. Hats off, and I mean that's great that you're doing it all.
Yeah, I think to anyone listening to this that's actually like trying to do this for a living, I think that there's a couple things that have worked out for me that maybe I can share.
Yeah.
One is that when it comes to the music, it's a little bit I kind of compartmentalize. So when I write the music, like I go into full like creative mode, and I just make music from that part of my brain that's not like I'm not trying to do anything other than just to express something that wants to be expressed. And I try to follow some themes and some like being like some songwriting like 101 if you guys ever take songwriting. I mean, I've taken songwriting classes. I've taken them here.
Songwriting school
plug. And there's certain parameters that you have to follow. Like you want to write when it comes to lyric writing, for example, like you want to be specific, but not but you also want to be you want to have there's like a kind of a thing that you follow. So with the music, I just do that. Like I make my music, and I don't really try to like make it more poppy or what I mean? Like I want it to be on the radio. Like I don't really do that. I just make what I make. But then because I have to do this because I'm an independent artist, on the flip side of that, it's like I put on my business hat and I go, okay, so now that the song's been done, like what can I do now to basically make this provide income for me as someone that's like makes a living from their art. So then I go into a completely different mode. And I think that's actually why it's worked for me, because I'm pretty entrepreneurial. So I would recommend anyone who's wanting to become a musician and make music for a living to take a business class. And to look at their music not as like art. I mean, you can do it as a hobby if you want, do it, go for it. But if you want to make a living from it, you have to really like look at it like a business. And so I think when it comes to that, then you have to kind of put on that other hat and just be more business savvy about it. So I think that's how I've been able, that's why I decided I wanted to own my masters. I wanted to own my publishing. Like I'm not beholden to anybody. And I mean, like I said, there's pros and cons to being an indie artist. Yeah. But I think ultimately there's, even nowadays too, like you can't even really get signed anymore unless you've built it yourself. Yeah. So it doesn't even, you know what I mean? Like you kind of have to do it anyways. Like they won't even, let's say you put a song out, it goes viral on TikTok or something. That's great. But you put it out there and you somehow, you know what I mean? Like you have to like start it yourself. You have to create the momentum. Totally. And you have to find the fans or the people that like, I don't like to call them fans, but you have to find the people that like your music and that connect with you and create your like,
that's like
your
must
community.
Be the hardest part.
Yeah, and I think that's actually like if you take a business class, that's what they teach you. It's whatever product you're creating, whatever you're putting out into the world, you have to find the people that want to use it or listen to it. You have to find your community. So I think that's it's really important to be an artist that makes a living. You really have to be a business person. So and I'm still learning. I'm not like, I'm still, but I'm constantly, I'm taking courses here at the, I've always just, I took your class.
Yes.
I was in your licensing class because I wanted to learn more about like, because when you're an artist, it's actually quite complicated. You have the master, you have the publishing, you have all these different like facets of the details of music writing. And it's actually not that. The book that I read that I'm sure every artist who knows should read is the Donald Passman book.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I mean and those are the things that you have to do. Like
what's it called? It's called Everything You Need.
Everything You Need to Know About the Music Business, or All You Need to Know About the music, something like that. Or like I'm sure you can learn everything on YouTube. It's like YouTube University.
Yeah,
right?
Crazy. Huh?
Our the Guild of Music Supervisors has a great YouTube channel because that's the thing. Like all these new medias are always changing. Yeah. Like with TikTok, like we didn't, and all these. Okay, what's the new norm? And always evolving, always teaching yourself, staying creative. I mean, not creative, curious is what I meant to say. Sure, so creative too.
Yeah, I mean, so then it's like, okay, so if you want to get your songs placed on a television show or on a movie, which I'm sure every artist would like to do because, I mean, it's amazing when that happens. Like I think you should know certain things, right? Like who are the people doing what shows?
Well, in addition to that, also just like having all your things your affair is buttoned up, right? Like if
Right.
you don't have splits decided and a sync comes along, like we can't license it unless we have 100% cleared. So if like you don't know how to find writer X who claims to have 10%, but then when we find him claims to have 20%, like the whole thing can
mess.
unravel.
Yeah,
exactly.
or you used a
So,
sample and
Yep, that
just
happens with
Yeah.
major label
Yeah.
artists every day.
just happened yesterday
too.
to
Yeah.
us.
Yes.
Oh, did it really?
Oh yeah, this week we can't use a song because
And
there's
it's
an
out.
uncleared
Yeah.
sample.
Oh,
Two.
and then you have to pass on it and find
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, if you do really want to make music for a living, I think that these are things that you have to start studying and learning,
Yeah.
because it can only help you to know more about what you're doing and how people are profiting from it.
That's so true. Did you, when you were at Brown, what was your major?
English lit.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, were you music or
Poetry?
business? But totally different. But that also ties in.
Yeah, I love
You're-
reading.
Yeah, well, I can tell in your lyrics too. Like you
Yeah.
are very well read, and you put it in the songs. Like I can hear the.
Yeah,
Wait,
no, I
the
always like to
poetry.
read.
I
Yeah.
feel like we might have been ships in the night because my first semester, I was like, oh, maybe I'll be an English major. And I took an
really?
English class. And then I was
Oh.
like, this is too much reading. I don't have time for this. I like talking to people and working at the radio station doing a cappella. So,
So what was your major?
psychology,
Oh,
which
was
is
it really?
right, which feels like so
Yeah.
appropriate. But I never
Yeah.
took a class until sophomore year.
Oh,
So
that's
thank God we
funny.
didn't have to declare until end of sophomore year.
I
Yeah,
know.
that's right.
Yeah, because I was like, if I have to read about things, I want to be really interested in it.
Yeah.
And I'm
Right.
fascinated about why humans are the way they are, how they
Yeah.
feel the way they feel, etc. Well, the $1 million question that
Oh,
we
my-
ask every episode is, what is your favorite sad song?
So I came up with two.
Yes.
Can I give two?
Nobody can ever give one.
Yeah,
You're totally
no, it's
right.
yeah,
It's
and
supernatural.
It's great to hear multiple.
So I would say my favorite sad song when I was like growing up
Mm-hmm.
would be the Mazzy Star Fade Into You song.
Oh,
Yes.
I listen to that on repeat. I love that
so
song.
good.
Probably I bet it's probably one of the most synced songs.
Is it really?
From the 90s, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody loves that song.
I
and
mean,
it
it's-
always works in like a montage or
Yeah.
background. Yeah.
It's a great song.
Yeah. So
I think it's her voice. I
Yeah.
love voices.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Agree.
Yeah, I love her voice.
Yeah.
And then I would say, which I'm sure you guys will really like this one because it's a sync thing. But I love Breathe Me.
yeah.
Sia.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
6 Feet Under.
It's
So
incredible.
good.
I think that was one of the best things I've ever seen.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And one of
Yeah.
the best season finales or series finales too. Just that moment and like how it wrapped
I
everything
mean,
up.
I'm getting chills now just talking
Yeah.
about it. That sync that they did, I think, is one of the best syncs
I
I've
agree.
ever seen. And her music, I mean, she wasn't even that big at that time.
I think she was only in 07
Seven, yeah.
mostly.
I feel like the sync community was very aware of her.
Yeah, KCRW was really aware of her. I think
Yeah.
she had like
Yeah.
a kind of a cult underground following, but she
Mhm.
wasn't huge like she is
No.
now.
No.
But that song is just, I mean, her voice
Mm.
and
Her
Yeah,
vocal performance
her
in that
vocal
too, like, is kind
yeah,
of gutting.
It's
you
so
know?
good.
Yeah.
And then to see it with the montage that they did was like, how can you not cry? I mean, the thing was like so moving. It was so moving. So I think that song's a beautiful song.
I feel like it has so many
Beautiful.
ingredients of
Magic.
yes,
It's
totally.
so
But like
magical.
that
It's
like
so
moving
magical.
piano,
The production.
performance, the way she
production,
performs,
oh my
the
God.
strings.
She's
you know?
amazing.
I
Yeah.
know. She
She's,
really
I mean,
is.
she's just like pure raw talent. She's incredible.
Absolutely.
So
And,
that's,
like-
I would say, yeah.
No,
It's a
and
good
just she
one.
just continues to elevate each time. I mean, even her Christmas album, I'm like, oh, it's so good.
You can just tell, like, it just comes out of her.
Thank you. I love
yeah.
those, and I feel like they're also somewhat modern, which is kind
Yeah.
of lovely too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Thanks.
I love
And
it.
one's definitely in our on
Oh,
our list
Can I
too.
make one more?
Yes.
Can I say
Of
one
course.
more?
Yes.
One of my favorite sad songs that I actually wrote,
Ooh.
Mhm.
which usually when I write music, I will record it, release it, and then I won't really listen to it anymore because I'm kind of done with it. You know, you hear
Yeah.
it so many times on repeat over and over, and then you're like, okay, I'm good. I'm
Right.
good.
Totally.
But I really, for whatever reason, I love the song that I wrote called Blood Moon, which is the one
Oh,
in
yes.
Hawaii
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
the volcanic crater. I don't know why. I just, whenever I listen to it, when I wrote it, I literally just wrote it on a piano in my little, I was living in Ojai at the time. And I wrote the song, it was like pre-COVID, but like almost COVID. And I just had this feeling that things were like bubbling
Changing,
under the
yeah.
surface. Yeah. And I wrote that song and it was like, I still listen to it and I go, wow, I love the song that I wrote. I like connecting to that feeling that I was feeling when I wrote it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's like, because when you write a song, you're in that frequency, vibration, whatever, but you're in that, mode. And so when I listen to it, it brings me to this like really kind of introspective, like quiet, but like kind of, I don't know. It's a hard thing to describe.
No, I love to hear that.
Music is hard to
sometimes
describe.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But I like to hear that because sometimes I think about that like, oh my God, are they so tired of hearing it or like playing it? And so that's great to hear that you are.
That your song is evergreen for yourself.
Yeah.
Like I said, a lot of times I'll just listen to it. I won't listen to it anymore after I'm done with it. Like, actually, I haven't listened to Feather in the Wind in a long time.
Right.
I listened to it for this podcast, and I was like, oh, yeah.
that was a pretty good one.
Yeah, but, sometimes you're like, oh, yeah, that was a good... I listened to Blood Moon. I'm like, I really liked what happened when I wrote that song and how it came out. And anyways.
I feel like that. Like, we've been involved in having songs created for movies or TV shows, and there's an attachment. Well, we're not even songwriters, but I feel like an affinity for them because I was like, oh, that was so fun, and the process was so cool.
Do you watch the scene and you're like, oh, yeah, that was good?
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes.
I made the right choice.
Sometimes. Yeah, definitely sometimes.
Yeah, even when not original, that's like, I've done occasional online interviews that'll be like, what are your favorite syncs? And I named them.
Really?
Whether it was from One Tree Hill or Ghost Whisperer or whatever. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for having me.
No,
thank you for being here.
This was great.
Such a lovely conversation. And now I'm going to go listen to Blood Moon.
Thank you guys.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today on the Sad Song Queens, because you always need a good cry. We will link these songs in our show page and hope you will listen.
Huge thanks to Susie Suh, our friends at the Songwriting School of Los Angeles, for letting us record live in their studio. Special production thanks to Rob Seals, Keahu Kahuanui, Miles Bergsma, Wyatt Rouse, Jessica Griffin, and our researchers Emily Cartham and Sylvia Malthrop.
Our theme song is All My Favorite Songs by Weezer and outro music by Wyatt Rouse.
Hi, it's Lindsay from the Sad Song Queens podcast. You may have heard us allude to Rob or thank Rob Seals and the Songwriting School of Los Angeles at the end of our podcast. He has been so kind to let us record in his studio, and the Songwriting School is an awesome place. If you want to learn how to songwrite, record, or even information how to release or sync your song, there's a class for that.
The Songwriting School of Los Angeles is devoted to the artistry and industry of songs. To learn more, go to thesongwritingschool.com, where you can learn more or enroll in classes.